Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Daily Market Report brought to you by Mike Bjork. Today is Monday, December 10th. Hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. And wow, we're fast approaching the end of the year and the holiday season's intact. Hey, we got a very light day today. We have, for economic calendar, we have the job openings or JOLTS jobs for the month of October. So in September, we had 7 million job openings. And that increased in October to 7.1 million. So obviously that's good news. We always like to see available jobs and giving more people opportunity and getting people off the dole and on to the working and stuff and get the economy moving along here. But today's the big news are more in the headline news. The stock market it can continue its trend from in a downward direction today from Friday. Friday it went down quite a bit and it's still down today. So far we're down over 400 on the Dow. The news is basically on China. China released some data today on its exports, which had a very sharp decline. It went from like being up 15% in October to being only about 5%. So it's a pretty big sharp contrast there. And of course that kind of concerns investors on a global level of where the economy is moving. So being on a global level, they're also looking at the Brexit that's happening, which they announced a delay in its vote from the EU. So there's a delay in there, and it seems like there's talk about what I guess having to do with Ireland, a Republic of Northern Ireland. I think that seems to be the issue at bay right now with the Brexit. And then also, of course, they're still kind of looking at Italy, the budget that they are having conflicts with the EU. So they came out with their budgets, and it's not exactly in line with what the EU wants. So they're kind of see how that plays out as well. And then, of course, along back to China again, we have there's still concerns about that maybe the trade may get some more issues down the line here, especially after the it might get a little testy with the arrest. That the Canadians, in favor of the U.S. At the request of the U.S., did with the CFO of Hawaii, I think it's pronounced CFO, and so there's concern with that regards that China wants obviously her back. They don't feel she should be arrested, and U.S. has requested them to arrest her and extradite her to the U.S. And that's due to the U.S. is accusing them of still breaking sanctions and dealing with Iran. And then there's been also some comments from U.S. trade officials of been talking about the deadline being a hard deadline and things don't so they think it could get a little tested and be tested. So we don't know how that's going to play out over the next 90 days as they gave this moratorium. It'll be interesting to see it'll be interesting how it plays out. Then also the Fed's kind of looking ahead here for next week. The Fed will be giving their two-day meeting next week. It is expected that they'll raise rates a quarter point, but with some recent comments from different Fed members, it's starting to sound a little dovish. So they're going to look ahead in the writing and see what 2019 is going to look like in their view for rate hikes. Are they going to curtail a little bit? Because initially they said 3 rate hikes. But there's been some recent comments in that they might be near what they call the neutral level is where they want to bring us to, is what they call a neutral level where it's not helping us nor hurting us, interest rate level. So that's kind of what they're going to be looking for. So it'll be a real important meeting or announcement when the media will be listening to Fed Chair Powell when he speaks. And that's kind of what they're looking for if there's going to be continued rate hikes in next year. The economy is still humming along here in the U.S., humming along pretty well. It is obviously slowing down a little bit, but much more healthy compared to our global neighbors. So they're not too concerned with the U.S., but if they keep raising rates, obviously that's going to slow us down even further, and that's what they're most concerned about. So they want to see what he says next week. Let's kind of see how this is playing out in the bond market today. Bond market's up a little bit. We're up about 8 basis points. We're testing this 200-day moving average. We're kind of going rising upwards to about 8 basis points. Not really quite enough to give us a improvement in our pricing, but those who didn't get that on Friday may see that improvement today, because we did get a bit of a towards later in the day we did get a bit of a spike, and some lenders may not have priced that into the market during the daytime, so that might get passed over today's price. And so you may see a little mixed, I would say, mixed pricing today. And as you see the stochastic, it's kind of just in a sideways pattern here. We've seen that before on the other side where we're kind of in an overbought position, but when we were in oversold position, we've been kind of sideways pattern. It lasted for quite a while, so we'll have to see how long this will last for mortgage-backed securities here. The 10-year Treasury continues its downward fall. We're down just below this important level here, which is going to be a floor of support, which it got tested twice last week, and now it's testing again, which is so far down below it. We're at about 2.83 right now, so we'll have to wait and see if it closes below this level, which gives us a little bit more room for the next level, which is right around the 2.77 roughly, or 2.76 range. As you can see here, the next floor of support, which would only help boost mortgage-backed securities even further. Again, so I would say mortgage-backed securities or rates maybe a little bit better than we saw Friday, or about the same, depending on the lender. But otherwise, if you want to see any changes coming, kind of wraps up the day. But any other changes, I will post on my Twitter account. You can be more than happy to follow me on Twitter, as I'll put the close out there. If anything pops up there, I'll add that to Twitter as well. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.